It's New Brew Thursday! Woo! And we're doing Tallgrass. Oh, Tallgrass, you are so tall. I don't know what the O came from Oasis.
There's no O in this beer, though.
No, it's Oasis. Tallgrass Oasis.
Tallgrass.
So I was like, oh, we're gonna do but it's Tallgrass, so it's Tallgrass. So then I made a song out of it. See, that's improvisation.
Yeah. And I just went with it.
Yeah, and
I
also
sat here and
improvisation.
Not wanting to.
So the lesson so far in today's episode is that John and I good at improvisation. Matt, not so good.
I'm good at improvisation.
So
Watch
anyway, if you follow me on Twitter at Darth Weef, shameless plug, you'll know that I was out in Nebraska, South Dakota area for the last week.
Yeah.
And I brought back some beers with me from the Midwest, and Tallgrass was one of them. And the Oasis was actually a really interesting beer. I was thoroughly surprised by this beer.
The main reason you were out there was for the
the Great Nebraska Beer Festival.
There you go.
Yeah, 40 plus breweries.
How was that, by the way?
Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome. First of all, Nebraska Brewing Company, yeah. Hawkward Uggs, because you were awesome. Yeah, so I got to go there for the first time, which their brewery is rad. First of all, yeah, it's just it's really, really cool. I mean, it's like, you know, like out here we're really used to like breweries being like in industrial parks.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I walk into this brewery with a big door on it and like whatever. This isn't like a strip mall. It's like going to the Long Beach Town Center and going to a brewery. It's just so freaking cool. It's like all bricked out and, you know, I took pictures.
Is it a brewery or like a brew pub?
It's a brew pub kind of thing, yeah. I don't, you know.
The closest thing I can equate to that is like the new Beechwood place because they're kind of in, they're not in a strip mall, but they're in like a downtown area. They're actually next to a Jamba Juice. Imagine like a Cold Stone, I think.
Right. Imagine a really cool looking BJ's. Where you walk in and there's like barrels.
Cool,
right, but I mean like there's barrels laying around and it's like, it's got like this really cool brewery feel to it, but it's got good food and they have like a full bar and they have the brewing area and it's just, it was awesome. I loved it.
Cool.
I loved it. Had a freaking blast.
I wish I could have gone, but.
Yeah, I tried like 35 different breweries that day.
Nice.
Yeah.
All,
That's
like,
ambitious.
Midwest.
All Midwestern, all like kind of stuff that I'd never had before, whatever. Met the people from the Roaming Pint, which those two people, they're freaking awesome. They're like this couple who are gypsies. And they literally live in their RV and they travel around the country to different, like they go to an area and they're like, we're going to be in this area for like 2 weeks and we're just going to go to every brewery in that area and have a good time and whatever.
Awesome.
And he's a computer programmer, works out of the RV with like satellite internet kind of thing, and
He's living the dream.
yeah, I'm like, I kind of want to just live with you guys now, and they're just good people. So I had a lot of fun with them, and had a blast. And so yeah, and I brought back a ton of beer, and so back to Tallgrass.
One of the tons.
Yeah, well, and I ran into the brewer at Tallgrass, the brewer of Tallgrass at the event, and talked to him for a while. It was awesome, and tried a bunch of their beers, and kind of fell in love. So
this is
this is actually a double ESB / IPA.
Oh, okay.
If that makes, and it didn't make any sense to me at all, but basically what it is it's going to be malt forward, but not in a barley wine way, but very, I think it's like 95 IBUs.
Yeah, it's about just over 7%, 7.2.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like it's in the double IPA range, but it's more of an the malt bill is more of an ESB style.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
I want to point out real quick that I love the 16-ounce can format.
Yeah, like, the pint can, that's big in the Midwest too.
Yeah, Surly is like the biggest one who does that. But yeah, right on.
Like
it's convenient.
Whenever I went to, the funny thing is like, in Sioux Falls where I stayed for the majority of the week because my parents lived there, my dad shops at Hy-Vee for his beer, which is like this grocery store chain out there.
It's called Hy-Vee?
Hy-Vee, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a grocery store. So like, when you're thinking of craft beer, you're not like, oh, I'm going to go to my local grocery store and whatever. Hy-Vee is kind of like taking craft beer and ran with it. So like their entire liquor section is all craft beer orientated. They have beer dinners. They have a craft beer club where like they
specifically called craft.
Yeah, it's craft beer club where like if you buy 10 cases of Bud Light, no discount. You buy craft beer, 5% discount.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, this is freaking awesome. And my dad loves it because he's like, oh, you've gotten me into craft beer and now I have all this stuff to choose from. I'm like, yeah, you do. I'm going to choose some of it too right now. So
I will imbibe these wonderful craft beer treasures.
Yeah, so I mean, a little shout out to Hy-Vee. Good job.
Yeah.
Really appreciate what you're doing, especially for my dad. And, you know, it's just, this is a great beer. So I wanted to feature it on the show.
Cheers.
Cheers to Midwestern craft beer.
Yeah. Definitely get some maltiness off the nose. A lot of maltiness.
Yeah.
And this is like their ESB-ish, double-ish, IPA-ish.
Yeah, it's a double ESB/IPA. So it's not necessarily a double IPA, but it's a double ESB.
So we're probably going to lean more towards the malt, I would assume.
Yeah, like imagine an ESB beer that's been like blown out, and then aggressively hop that beer. And so you're going to get the hop profile of an IPA, but it's not an IPA style in the least. It's an ESB. It's a double ESB.
Yeah, it's interesting because you get a lot of that malt sweetness, but then you also get some of that like citrusy American hops, but you also get like some spiciness to it. I'm noticing a little bit of like herbal grassy kind of thing.
Right.
Almost like they use like some English hops in here too. I'm gonna guess.
Well, and I noticed like a couple of the other beers. I want to say they're ale, or no, they're IPA. Their IPA is almost wet hopped grassy. So you get like the grassy notes off of it, almost like it was wet hopped.
Right.
So I think that they kind of go for that profile for their hop bill.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely say this is more on the malty side, but not in the way that like an old double IPA.
Exactly.
is.
Yeah, because that's when I first heard about this. He's like, oh yeah, it's really malt forward, but then we got the hops, and I'm like, that sounds like a really bad barley wine.
No, it's not.
And then
That's
I
my
drank it,
point.
and I'm like, this is not a really bad barley wine.
Yeah, it's not a bad barley wine. It's a malt forward beer.
You can
know what I
taste
mean?
the ESB in this.
Yeah.
Like the extra special bitter style comes forward in this prevalently.
I agree.
And then on the back end, you're just like, oh hey, you like hops, so here's some hops with
Actually,
it.
the more I smell the nose, I get more of that grassiness off of the nose.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think this is intended to kind of like just hit you with hops. It's a very well balanced beer for what it is.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that the bitterness is still pretty aggressive though, especially on that back third. Like
Maybe I'm talking more of
lingering.
like a hop kind of presence. Like the bitterness is there. I think I meant more of a hop presence, like in a double IPA kind of way.
Yeah.
Where you would expect that from a double IPA.
Sure.
Going back to what I said, where like if a double IPA was old, it just gets malty.
Right.
This is not that. The bitterness is there, but I don't think the hops were necessarily supposed to be the prevalent
The
factor.
only thing.
Right.
that's
Well, I
there,
mean,
yeah.
that's like when you're doing an IPA or a double IPA, you're expecting the hops. You want the hops to be forward on the nose. You want them to be on the taste. You want everything to be about it to be the hops. And when the malts start sneaking in, which should be there just to balance out the hops in a good IPA, when they start sneaking in and taking over because the hops have fallen out, then you get that like, oh, it's sickly sweet and there's the hop aroma just
Something's
doesn't work
off.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This doesn't have that. Like you get the hop aroma slightly. You get the hop in the back third, but mostly this is drinking a bigger ESB. This characterized for me like what craft brewers are doing, where they're like, hey, ESB and IPA, those are two styles that you would never even consider mixing or even having on the same label or in the same breath.
It's kind of an odd confluence.
Right, but they're like, hey, we're gonna do it. We're gonna make this double ESP. We're gonna over hop it. We're gonna like see what happens with it. And you would expect this from like a West Coast brewery, not somebody in Kansas.
I don't know. I expect this from where it came from.
Well,
I mean,
you know what I mean, though. It's like
It's-
West Coast, everything's like, oh, you have a porter? Let's overhop it. Woo! You know,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
no, but this
Let's
was
throw in a shitload of Cascades.
right,
yeah, this was overhopped in I think the right kind of way for the style of beer.
right.
It was maybe it's overbittered because it's like an extra special bitter.
Exactly.
You
It's
know?
an extra special bitter.
Really extra special.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So
So-
they're not going for the hop character; they're going for the bitterness, and they balance it out with a lot of great malts.
Yeah.
I like them with the malt bill on this too.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. So on that note, we're gonna send you off to Master Pairings, where there's gonna be a campfire
We get really malty.
and some like little kids playing baseball,
Yeah.
and they're making s'mores.
Rubbing sticks together.
So, but you're on this one, right?
Yep. This one we're gonna have s'mores, and I've never had s'mores.
Yeah, this was your first s'mores thing. He's an Eagle Scout too. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Told you he was the one tending to the fire.
I was
I made the fires. Look what I've created.
Yeah, I was the dork Eagle Scout that was like, look, I just want to get the fire lit. I don't care what you guys cook, but as long as the fire's lit, that's all I care about.
It's good.
So-
You're taking responsibility. I like that.
Yeah.
But, anyways, there you go.
Go enjoy Master Pairings, because we did.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Master Pairings with me, your host, Bill Sysak, known as Dr. Bill in the craft beer community. Today I have John Holzer, New Brew Thursday.
How's it going?
And I found out a dirty little secret of yours, John, on one of the last New Brew Thursdays.
Yeah, I've never had s'mores.
Never had s'mores, and I find this really hard to believe because you're an Eagle Scout.
I am an Eagle
Scout. And I happen to know they have a badge for s'mores.
I don't think they do.
They should.
So we're going to have s'mores today.
We are going to have s'mores. We're going to have a special treat for John. And with it, we're going to have fabulous beer, Life and Limb. Why don't you tell them a little bit about this, John, while I pour?
Well, Life and Limb is a beer made by Sierra Nevada and Dogfish Head from Delaware. Sierra Nevada is from Chico. And it's a collaboration beer. It's 10.2% alcohol. They call it Life and Limb because the life part means it's naturally carbonated. And the limb part stands for the two syrups it's made with. It's made with birch syrup and maple syrup.
Very nice.
And
it's actually called Life and Limb 2.
Yeah, this is the second time they've brewed it. The first time was
last year, I think.
Maybe a
2
little
years
over
ago, 2009.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. I thought it was going to be a one-time beer, but turns out it's not. So
let's give this beer a shot.
Cheers.
Beautiful color.
Yeah.
Beautiful head.
This is one of my favorite beers
great
too.
Nose.
This cellars very well too.
Right away, I pick up almost the cola notes.
Yeah.
Because of the maple and the birch. It's cola, kind of cola nut.
Yeah. Definitely syrupy smelling, if you know what I mean.
Nice hops in it, though. Hops really come out nicely. Kind of like a sweet black IPA or American ale now. Black American ale.
That is good.
That's delicious. It's got great characteristics.
It doesn't have that hop bite of a black ale that I normally like in a black ale, but I can see the bitterness coming out more than an actual hop bite. You know what I mean?
Got it.
If that makes sense. But yeah, this is really good. It's nice and silky. Really, I mean, even now I still have some lingering flavors on my tongue.
Really nice little roastiness.
Yeah, it's good.
So, on to s'mores.
Let's do this.
Let's see if it works. So,
we don't have a campfire, so
don't need a campfire. You take the gram.
Take the gram.
You put the chocolate on the gram.
Put the chocolate on the gram.
You take the mallow. You roast the mallow.
That is looking intense. Flaming mallow.
Once you take the mallow and you get roasty, you place it on the chocolate. You take the other gram, go ahead and push down.
Oh,
leave
snap.
the mellow on the gram.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
There we go. Dig into that bad boy.
All right, here we go.
John's first s'more. Catch you on film. This is a 50s original, sir, right here.
That's really good.
I'll give that a shot.
Mmm. Mmm.
Brings out this roasty bitterness. The kind of vanilla notes from the mallow show really well.
I think the burnt parts of the marshmallow kind of
definitely helps
too.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely mix. And as you said, quite messy.
Yeah, all the flavors meld together very well. The maple and birch syrup in this really just complements this perfectly. You get, I think, a majority of this is the chocolate for me.
Well, yeah, it's most dominating flavor, obviously, over the gram.
So that being the dominant flavor.
The gram, you get a little honey, and so you get a little honey note, so that plays well in with the syrup. Mm-hmm. And then the mellow, you get a little vanilla, but mainly it's the chocolate.
Yeah.
And the roastiness, so it pairs really well. So how'd you like your first s'more?
It was great.
Not many people could say their first s'more was with a rare collaboration craft beer.
And a certified Cicerone.
Yes.
Hey, look at me.
Anyways, everybody, I'd like to thank you all for coming to Master Pairings.
Thanks, Bill.
Cheers.
So we're back from Master Pairings. John, how was it?
The s'mores were delicious.
I was when he talked about doing s'mores, I'm like, okay, we need to do a fire pit at that point. We need to have all sorts of equipment.
No.
It's like, nope, torch.
He did it Master Pairing style.
Master Pairing style.
I also love how he did it like Sandlot style. You know what I mean? You
Right.
take the gram.
You take the gram.
You toast the mallow.
Yeah.
He's kind of a Sandlot geek.
Well, and when I was watching that, I'm like, oh, he likes his extra burnt. Because I'm kind of like a browned marshmallow kind of guy, and then I let it light up at the end and immediately blow it out.
Well,
he's
likes
just
to
like
give it the Maillard.
he's like he's like I am gonna run the like Olympic torch with my flaming marshmallow. So
Yeah, if you've never had s'mores, you should totally
have
have one. I guess
It's a reason to go. It's a reason to go camping.
and it's graham crackers, Hershey's chocolate, and marshmallows.
And it worked really well with that beer. So
Yeah, it did.
so
It was tasty.
yeah. So a bit of news. Many of you have asked where Brad's gone. It's been a few weeks since he's been on the show. We are a bit sad to announce that Brad is no longer on New Brew Thursday as a regular member. Brad is always welcome to come back as a guest host.
Right.
But he's got a lot of stuff going on in his life, you know, like that whole singularity thing and the fact that he's smarter than 90% of the universe. And so,
scary.
yeah, he's got all these things going on. So it's very difficult for him to find the time to do the show. But New Brew Thursday, as we've always said, blood in, blood out. New Brew Thursday for life.
We killed him.
Yeah. So we had to end his life for him to leave.
He's taking a long vacation in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. No, but what I mean by that is that Brad is always going to be a member of New Brew Thursday.
Yeah.
We cannot wait to see him again. Hopefully he'll come with us to events, show up on a show here and there. But yeah.
I think he's still a close friend of the show.
Oh, yeah.
There's no reason why we wouldn't have him on anything else if he just popped in here and there. But it might seem weird since Matt came on the show and Brad left. We didn't really plan it that way. It just happened to turn out that way.
Just kidding.
So
Actually, it was Matt's like secret plan from the beginning is to root. So in reality, though, everyone knows that the only two real members of New Brew Thursday are me and John. So, you're still on probation.
This beer is really great, guys. I'm getting a lot of I think crystal malts in this.
Nice.
And, yeah.
No, but yeah, we're very sad to see Brad go.
Can
Matt
we
go.
just-
That was a Freudian slip. We're very sad to see Brad go. We wish him the best. We can't wait to see him again and party with him. And enough about that.
can we get a toast to Brad?
Toast to Brad. Tallgrass, awesome, amazing beer. If you're in the Kansas City area or obviously anywhere in the Midwest, since I found this in Sioux Falls, buy it
By
up,
the way,
drink
we're
it.
giving Sioux Falls, Kansas area some love.
Yeah.
Like, you can't talk shit now. Like, look what just happened. Boom.
What?
Go get some.
Get some, and I think we're gonna do a couple of Midwestern brews leading up to GABF. I think next week we're gonna do some Boulevard stuff.
That's a great area that's making
Yummy.
some great beer.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you having lived there for so long, I was kind of that feeling like the Midwest is always a few years behind, but in the craft beer scene they're just not. They're just right there doing it.
They're right on track.
Yeah, they're just doing it.
Totally.
So right on, and as always, stay safe and drink beer.